Oh, so you're an artist? Bet you've designed some cool characters. Hi, I'm Cass, and no, I don't have an OC. At this point, when I started scripting this video, this character didn't even exist. But my ass wants to start YouTube. This is indeed my first video, by the way. So we gotta log in, okay? And yes, you don't necessarily need an OC or persona or whatever you wanna call it to start YouTube. But I do, because having your own character is freaking cool. And if you're an artist on social media, having a character or at least something that represents you is important. That's how people are going to remember you. It's like a shell. Of course, the inside is what matters, obviously, but the outside is how people are going to recognize you. So it's crucial to put a lot of thought into it and design it mindfully. But here comes the first challenge. Designing something good is actually harder than it seems. Not only does the character need to resemble you, but it also needs to be original and easy to recognize. Having a design that sticks in someone's mind is super important, so you don't overload their little gremlin brain trying to remember what it looks like. The problem is, there are already so many designs out there, and as cool as that is, it makes creating original characters so much harder. And if you don't accidentally want to be a double, you need to be a bit careful. It's not impossible though. There are so many options that there's always a way to still create something creative and original. You just gotta use your brain a little. The character needs to be unique, but also not overly complicated. Ideally, you want something with an identifying feature that makes it stand out. That could be anything: colors, a symbol, an object, even a piece of clothing or an animal. There are basically no limits. Just really don't overload them, at least if that's not your style. Luckily, I already had a rough idea of a character when I started this project. Thanks to a random comic a super cool artist included me in, I saw it and immediately knew, yep, that's me. And I will so stick with that. So I really did, and I actually really like this concept. Still, even though starting with a rough idea was easier than coming up with something completely from scratch, my design skills are, let's just say, pretty much non-existent. And don't get me wrong, I've designed plenty of characters before. My best friend and I used to make up stories around our Cs all the time. And while she stuck to one or two characters, I made up a new one every single time. It always felt like no matter what I did, it just never felt right. None of those characters truly represented me, and I constantly felt like I was alone with that because I never really connected with my art or my characters. I had so many emotions towards other people's art, but never for my own. Eventually, I started to hate everything I created. But this one felt different. Maybe it helped that someone else created it first, or maybe it was just pure coincidence. But this time, I had to work with what I had, and I needed to push myself out of my comfort zone. So first things first, I started sketching out my ideas. At this point, I wasn't even sure if the design should be in black and white or include colors, so I tried out a lot of things, and I mean a lot for my usual standards. I played with different styles, different details, trying to figure out what matched me and what felt like my character. But the biggest challenge wasn't finding a design, it was finding one I actually wanted to stick with. Something that felt like me and something I wouldn't get bored of in 2 weeks. To be honest, the process felt a bit hopeless. I was not confident with what I do. I even asked for help. Secretly, of course. Some actually had good advice or an opinion. Some were just as hopeless as me. just joking. I think the biggest challenge for me was to decide if I wanted to add colors, and if yes, then which colors. Of course, I have favorite colors and stuff, but nothing actually looked good on my character. It felt like it was destined to be black and white. But I am an artist that loves colors, so shouldn't I have character that enhances that? Surprisingly, I didn't just start to completely ignore colors. I also started to add in more random objects, things that just felt funny to me in a moment without overthinking it. And I ended up with something I honestly did not think I'd end up with. I guess I adopted a burp now. I think I'll name him Carlos, but name ideas are highly appreciated. And well, this is the finished design. Is it perfect? No. Will it change and evolve with time? Probably yes. And that's okay. Humans grow, and so do our characters. The most important thing is that you stay true to yourself and do what you really enjoy, as kitschy as that sounds. Something important to remember when creating characters is that everyone is different, and everyone's process is different. While for me, doodling around and finding simple features I enjoy, helps me get down my ideas. For others, it could look totally different. Maybe they scroll to Pinterest and boom, idea. And you do not need to be super aware of what you're doing. Sometimes the best ideas come from just creating whatever comes naturally to you. It should be fun and an enjoyable process, not something that feels like an annoying, never-ending task. Alright, so now that I've got my character, there's nothing stopping me from making cool videos, right? I know I did say I'd use my laptop, but I don't think I'll stick with my iPad at first. Yeah, there are still a few things I need to learn and improve on. A lot of things. But hey, it wouldn't be a challenge if it wasn't hard, so we'll work with what we've got, hopefully. So can you show me your C now? Here you have it, now leave me alone. Anyways, thanks for watching. I hope my struggles were worth it, and maybe you even got 1 or 2 tips or inspirations out of my yapping. See ya!